Thank you, Foreign Secretary. You talked about the sacrifices that NHS workers are making, and we're hearing more stories of that today, people losing their lives. In some cases, they're telling us because they haven't got the right equipment. Now, to thank them for that work, thousands of people around the country tonight will take part in the clap for our carers. But I wondered if today you could go further and commit to, when this crisis is over, giving them a real reward, a financial thank you for the sacrifices and the efforts they're making on behalf of us all. And if I may, could I ask the Chief Scientific Advisor, Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, mentioned last week that a surveillance study was being carried out with an antibody test that's been developed by Public Health England. Could you tell us what the early results of that show in terms of how many people in Britain have had the virus? And how many would you expect to have had it in the 12 to 18 months or so until a vaccine is developed? Thank you.
But I think they're really good points. I think the carers and all those on the front line, as I paid tribute to in my earlier remarks, have done an amazing job. We're obviously doing everything we can to provide the equipment, the PPE that they need. We're rolling that out at pace. I recognise that there have been challenges with the distribution. We've got a helpline, but most importantly, we're really rolling that out in pace. We've got the military involved where that's appropriate. I'll be taking part in the clap for carers this evening, and you're right, there will be a moment where we look at how we formally recognise all of those in the front line who've done so much to put us through this very difficult period for our country.
On the surveillance test, so this is the antibody test, the first thing to say is these tests are difficult to get right. So they're across the world, people are trying to get really specific and sensitive tests on this, and that's a lot of collaboration across the world to do that. The scientists in Public Health England have worked on this, and yes, there is a surveillance study underway. I don't know the results yet, they're not out. This will continue until we've got the right results and they're able to communicate them, and of course they will communicate them like all good scientific practice as soon as they're ready and they know what they show and they can validate that these are reliable results. So that's what's going on at the moment. And in terms of how many people would you expect to get this before a vaccine or treatment comes along, I think the processes that we've got in place are clearly to suppress the number, and the idea is to try and keep that number as low as possible.
Did you want to come back on any of that, Ben?
If I may, Foreign Secretary, you said there will be a time to reward NHS workers. I wondered if you just might speculate on a personal level what form you think that should take.
I do think it's important while they're doing this great job and we're all trying to focus on getting us through the peak, that we keep our focus and our attention on that. And I'd want to give it proper thought with all of the other people in government. But what I would say is I think we all recognise the enormous sacrifice they've made, how much it's done to help pull us through even to this level, how much it's done to avoid some of the worst scenarios we could have otherwise faced. And I'm sure there'll be the appropriate level of recognition at the right moment once we're through the worst of it.